seen it.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. Today we're talking about Medicare with John Moore. He's with Moore Wealth Advisors. And what was the email address for your Medicare?
It's John Moore at simpleseniorbenefits.org.
So we're going to talk about your legacy, but then I want to ask you about simpleseniorbenefits.org, okay?
And now, it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
John, you know attorneys at Marquardt Law Firm focus on business and estate law, including last wills, living trusts, and tax-protected inheritance plans. It's all about legacy. So we like to ask you about your legacy. What does that mean to you?
So my children are hopefully my best legacy that I leave behind. I have 2 daughters, and so my wife and I, it was very important for them to know that they have parents that are actively involved. That was one of the nice things about being self-employed when my children were young, is I was able to attend all their events and be a present father, because there's lots of research out there that shows, young ladies that don't have an active father figure, they have a lot more problems throughout their lives and everything. So that was very important for me to be there for them, and I was able to do that. I missed very, very few events, very few games. I was there as much as I could be. So they are hopefully going to be my best legacy, because they're both very confident, very beautiful young ladies. They both are driven. They both have goals that they want to accomplish, and it's important to them. And they know that we're here to support them.
What's a family lesson that you hope they remember?
Let's see. I hope that they always remember that they are valuable in God's eyes, and that they're valuable in our eyes. And no matter what happens, no matter what they do, we're going to love them, and we're going to be there to help them and support them as much as we can. And I hope that they take that and pass that down when they have children, and that their children believe the same things.
That's awesome, John. Thank you for sharing that. That's going to mean a lot to the listeners that are listening right now. So we're going to go back to Medicare.
Okay.
So switch gears. You mentioned Simple Senior something.
Benefits.org.
So how are you affiliated with that email address?
So in the Medicare world, agents are part of we have an upline. So my upline is actually a field marketing organization that's based in Bulverde called River Oak Insurance. And the owner, Louis Kowalski, is the one that recruited me into Medicare. So when my client needed help, I was looking for a resource, and I decided that I was going to be that resource for future clients. So I started looking at where can I get the training I need to be a good advisor for clients and do the right job. And so I selected River Oak because they're local. They are very focused on training. So they trained me on how to do this and worked with me on getting my training. Above them was a group called Barson Insurance, and their brand was simpleseniorbenefits.org.
Okay.
Or Simple Senior Benefits. So they had the email simpleseniorbenefits.org. So when we were under them, I took that email address, and it's just a pain to change, so I keep it.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think that this helps our listeners understand some of the rules and regulations that agents like you have to abide by to protect them, the consumers. So I want to talk about some of those rules. What are some things that you're not allowed to do? Or what are some things that consumers should be wary of when it comes to dealing with agents?
So one of the big rules that Medicare has implemented, and they're changing the rules every year, they've started making them more and more stringent, in order to try to protect beneficiaries from the unscrupulous agents and call centers and things like that. So one is I'm not allowed to cold call. So I can't buy a phone list and just start calling people. That's a violation of CMS rules. We're not allowed to door knock, go up to someone's house and just knock on the door and do that. In order for us to call someone, we have to have permission to contact. And there's a lot of different ways to get that. When I do events, educational events, I'll have permission to contact cards and tell people at the events, I'm not allowed to reach out to you unless you fill one of these out. So if you want me to reach out to you, fill one of those out. Some agents do mailers, so people get a lot of mail. If you get something that asks you to sign it and send it back, you're giving permission to contact at that point.
Okay.
So you're giving them the door, opening the door for them to call you and follow up with you. When we're talking about Medicare, there's a thing called a scope of appointment, and that is a compliance form that ensures that the beneficiary understands that we're talking about their Medicare. We can talk about Medicare Supplements, Advantage plans, drug plans, things like that. So we need to get the client to sign one of those, and there's different ways to do it. Nowadays, they can do it electronic signature, even voice signature, or paper. Just depends on what's appropriate for the situation. And that gives us 12 months to talk about Medicare with that client.
Okay.
Or until we do. Once we talk to them about it, it basically voids the scope of appointment going forward.
Okay.
Because we already did it. And if they want to talk again, we have to get another scope of appointment signed, which gives us another 12 months.
I read online one of these Medicare watch out websites was saying, watch out for a situation where your agent is scheduled to meet with you, misses the appointment, and then later shows up at your house uninvited. What's the concern there?
So that is a CMS violation, because when you have permission to contact, you make the appointment, and if you have a scope of appointment signed for it, if you don't keep that appointment, the scope of appointment is still valid, but you need to reschedule the appointment.
Oh, okay.
It needs to be rescheduled. They
You
shouldn't
can't
just
just
show
show
up.
up.
Correct.
Okay. Well, these rules are really picky. How do you navigate this Medicare season and make sure that you don't get in trouble?
So I know the rules because I get certified. Every Medicare broker or agent has to go through certifications. And part of those certifications are rule change, when they have new rules, what are the rules, things like that. And they don't change huge amounts year to year, but there are some different tweaks that they add. But I believe as an ethical agent, it's my job to know what the rules are and to follow them. So I make sure I do that.
Great. Well, that's super important for people out there that have questions about their Medicare. Is there anything that I didn't ask that I should have asked? Anything that you want to clarify or make more emphasis about?
I just want to reemphasize that the people listening should not give their Medicare ID number out over the phone to someone that they don't know.
Okay.
So now if I make an appointment with a client and I am calling into them, they made the appointment, then it's different. But
Right.
if someone calls out of the blue and says, we just need to verify your Medicare ID number, don't do it. It's not a good idea. It opens you up to having all kinds of problems down the road. And one thing we were discussing offline that we didn't cover is what happens if you do get changed and you don't know where you're at. That's where I help my clients with trying to find out what the plan is that they were changed to. And if we get it before it becomes active, we can withdraw that application and they stay on what they were on. And then they don't have that problem. But if it's already started, then we have the problem of figuring out where they're at, which we can do, but they may have to stay in that plan for a month or
okay.
longer.
But Medicare probably has a process for fixing things when you've been scammed, right?
Yes, it's just a process that the beneficiary has to be involved in and has to drive.
Oh, okay.
So they have to call Medicare, file a complaint, and go through all that process. So it's not a quick and easy fix. So it's always better to just not give your information out, and that way,
Right, guard and protect that Medicare number.
just like your Social Security number,
Okay.
guard and protect it.
Well, the reason I do this, John, is because in the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then he gave Moses the 10 Commandments. And now we have municipal, state, and federal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws that impact you without you knowing it. And so you know these Medicare programs and these policies and because you studied it. But there's regular people out there, grandmothers and grandfathers, that are just trying to get through the day, and they have to understand all of this. So if they call you with questions, what number should they call?
210-621-7842. And I do want to say, if I don't answer, leave a message. I will call you back. But if you don't leave a message, I get spam calls like everybody else, so I don't call numbers I don't recognize unless there's a message left.
Okay, terrific. Thank you for joining us today on Talk Law Radio. You can listen on Saturdays, Sundays, on podcasts everywhere, Facebook and YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have to end the show, John. Thanks. Talk to you later.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Most families don't realize they have hidden legal blind spots until it's too late. Wills, trusts, Medicaid planning, even protecting a business. These are the kinds of issues attorney Todd Marquardt helps uncover before they become problems. Todd is the host of Talk Law Radio, where each week he guides listeners through the legal challenges families, veterans, and business owners face, while showing them the practical steps to protect what matters most. Catch Talk Law Radio, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, 6:30 a.m. The Word, and now in Houston on AM 1070 and 103.3 FM The Answer, or anytime on YouTube. Planning isn't just about documents. It's about peace of mind, security for loved ones, and building a legacy that lasts. Don't wait for a crisis. Do it before you die.